The twin suns of Arcalis burned low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the glass-like plains of the royal hunting grounds. Princess Elyra stood at the edge of the observation deck, her emerald cloak fluttering in the dry wind. Below her, the world shimmered with danger. This was no ordinary wilderness. This was where apex predators roamed freely, creatures engineered by ancient biosmiths and feared across entire star systems. Today was her trial. "Remember," her mentor said, adjusting his metallic gauntlet, "these aren't animals. They think, they adapt. Hesitate, and you're prey." Elyra smirked confidently. "I don't hesitate." Behind her, a small group of royal guards stood ready, along with a few technicians and one boy. He stood quietly, almost blending into the background. His name was Kale, a mere apprentice assigned to assist with equipment and data logging. He wore simple gray robes, his hands lightly stained with oil and circuitry dust. No one paid him much attention. Elyra glanced at him once, then dismissed him just as quickly. "Stay out of the way," she said coldly. "This is not a place for mistakes." Kale simply nodded. The gates opened with a thunderous echo. Elyra descended into the plains, her boots crunching softly against the crystalline surface. Her pulse quickened, not from fear, but anticipation. This was what she had trained for her entire life. The first predator revealed itself within minutes. A massive creature, towering at least 3 meters tall, emerged from behind a cluster of jagged mineral formations. Its body was sleek and black, with shifting patterns of bioluminescent veins glowing beneath its skin. Its eyes, 6 of them, locked onto Elyra instantly. "Shadowstalker," her mentor's voice crackled through her calm. "Fast, highly intelligent." Elyra raised her plasma spear, a confident grin forming. "Perfect." The creature lunged. What followed was a blur of motion. Elyra dodged with precision, her movements elegant and practiced. She struck once, twice, grazing its armored hide. The beast retaliated with terrifying speed, claws slicing the air just inches from her face. But something was off. The Shadowstalker hesitated, not in fear, but in confusion. Its movements slowed, its gaze shifting, not just at Elyra, but beyond her, watching. Observing. Then, unexpectedly, it backed away. Elyra froze. "That's not possible," she whispered. The creature let out a low, almost reverential growl and retreated into the shadows. Silence fell over the plains. Back on the observation deck, murmurs spread. "Why did it retreat?" one technician asked. "No recorded instance of a Shadowstalker disengaging like that," another replied. Elyra returned, her expression sharp with irritation rather than relief. "I had it. It ran. Coward." Her mentor frowned. "They don't run." Elyra's gaze flickered briefly toward Kale. He stood in the same place, calm as ever, watching the horizon. The second trial began at dusk. This time, the environment shifted. The plains gave way to dense, luminescent forests, trees towering high with glowing branches that pulsed like veins of light. The air was thick, heavy. This region houses the apex draconids, top-tier predators, extreme caution. Elyra stepped forward, determination burning in her chest. "I'll bring one down." Deep within the forest, a roar shattered the silence. The ground trembled. From above, a colossal winged creature descended, its scales reflecting the forest's glow like shards of living crystal. Its wings stretched wide, casting shadows that swallowed the light. The apex draconid. Elyra tightened her grip on her weapon. "Finally," she whispered. The beast landed with a force that cracked the earth. Its eyes locked onto Elyra, ancient, calculating. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. Then, the draconid lowered its head, not in attack, in acknowledgement. Elyra blinked, stunned. "What?" The creature let out a deep, resonant sound, almost like a bowing gesture, and slowly stepped back. One step, then another, before turning and flying away into the darkening sky. This time, there was no confusion, only silence and fear. Back at camp, tension filled the air. "This is unprecedented," the lead scientist said. "Two apex species, both retreating." Elyra paced back and forth. "You're saying I scared them off?" "No," her mentor said slowly. "That's exactly what we're not saying." Elyra stopped. "What do you mean?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, his gaze shifted toward Kale. "Boy, come here." Kale stepped forward quietly. "You were present during both encounters." "Yes." "Did you notice anything unusual?" Kale hesitated. Elyra scoffed. "He's an apprentice. What could he possibly—" "They weren't afraid of you," Kale said calmly. The words cut through the room like a blade. Elyra's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" Kale met her gaze, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. "They were reacting to something else." "Something else?" her mentor pressed. Kale looked down at his hands, then back up. "Me." Laughter erupted across the room. "You?" Elyra said, barely holding back a smirk. "You expect us to believe that apex predators fear an apprentice?" Kale didn't respond. Instead, he simply turned and walked out into the night. Elyra followed him. "Hey, you don't just make a claim like that and walk away." Kale stopped at the edge of the forest, the glowing trees illuminating his silhouette. "You shouldn't be here," he said softly. "I should be wherever I want," snapped Elyra. "Now explain yourself." Kale sighed. "You see predators. I see echoes." Elyra frowned. What does that even mean? For a moment, Kale said nothing. Then, slowly, the air around him changed. A faint distortion rippled outward, like heat waves bending reality itself. Elyra stepped back instinctively. "What is that?" Kale's eyes, once ordinary, now shimmered with an unnatural light. "I wasn't always an apprentice," he said. The forest fell silent. "No one knows this," he continued, "not even the council. I was created, not born." Elyra's breath caught. Created? As what? Kale looked toward the sky, where distant stars flickered faintly. As a control mechanism. Long before the current era, before kingdoms and titles, there had been a war. Not between nations, but between creators and their creations. The apex predators of Arcalis were not natural. They were engineered weapons designed to adapt, evolve, and dominate. But they grew beyond control. So something else was made. Something above them. "Apex doesn't mean top of the chain," Kale said quietly. "It just means highest known." Elyra stared at him, realization dawning slowly. "You're saying there's something higher?" Kale met her gaze. "I am." A distant roar echoed through the forest. But this time, it wasn't a challenge. It was a warning. Multiple creatures stirred. Their presence felt all around them. Elyra tensed. "They're coming." Kale nodded. "Yes." "Then we need to—" "No," he said. The ground trembled as shadows emerged between the glowing trees, massive forms, wings, claws, eyes burning in the dark. A pack of apex predators, all watching, all waiting. Elyra raised her weapon, heart pounding. Kale stepped forward. "No weapons," he said calmly. "Are you insane?" "Trust me." Reluctantly, Elyra lowered her spear. Kale closed his eyes. The distortion returned, stronger now, the air bent, light warping around him. A low hum resonated through the forest, like something ancient awakening. The predators froze. Every single one of them. Then, one by one, they bowed. Elyra's breath hitched. The most dangerous creatures in existence, kneeling. Not in fear, in recognition. When it was over, the forest returned to stillness. The predators disappeared, retreating into the shadows. Kale opened his eyes, the glow fading. Elyra stood there, speechless. "You're not an apprentice," she said finally. Kale gave a faint smile. "No."
Then why pretend? He looked out across the forest. Because power like this, he said softly, shouldn't rule. Elyra stepped closer. But it could. Kale shook his head. That's exactly why it won't. As dawn broke over Arcalis, the princess stood beside the one she had once dismissed. The trials were over, but something far greater had begun. And for the first time, Elyra understood. Strength wasn't about dominance. Sometimes, it's about being the one even monsters chose not to fight.